a lot of people were struggling with job security this year, um, and so so that was some of the ways that you guys managed to just being transparent from the get go. In the beginning, it seemed like things were okay because there was a backlog of work that had been coming through previously. How did you weather the rest of the storm? How did it all pan out?
Like cash flow management,
Mm-hmm.
we've always been good at managing cash flow. We've never had any debt as a business. We've never had an overdraft, or so we had debt facilities there if we needed to use them, but we didn't. We ran as lean as we possibly could. And the good thing was, I'd never, in my experience in business, drilled down into the P&L like I did in that period. I was in my profit and loss, and I was looking at these transactions, and I'm like, why did we spend that on that? And all of a sudden, we pulled about $1 million out of our operating expense each year just by looking at unnecessary things. We could change this. So we did everything. We went into negotiate cheaper rent. We cancelled unnecessary subscriptions, or we did everything we possibly could. And then it got down to reducing staff hours, but and explaining to staff, these are the reasons why we're doing this. And if by doing this we can reduce our break even to X amount per month, and then when they seen that that's the amount of sales we were making that month, they were like, okay, we're getting through this. So collectively, we've all made these sacrifices, and we can see that we're getting through this. So we went into, and now our business has never run smoother, and it's never been more profitable because we've just got rid of so much waste that was sat in the business.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that transparency. And it must have made the employees feel so much better just to see it and be on the journey the whole way rather than just being in the dark.
Absolutely, and the feedback that I got from staff, I was getting them sending me messages saying, look, this is the best job I've ever had. I don't want to lose this job. So whatever we need to do, we're in. So it's such a collective effort, to do that. And I think when you have that sort of transparency with staff, they do appreciate it, and they're more willing to be a team player. I think if you just have to be conscious about, events like we wanted to throw an event, and we probably could have got most of it paid for by sponsors. It wouldn't have cost the company any money, but we're not going to be throwing an event to increase morale when everyone's taking wage cuts, for example. I think you've got to be really smart about your messaging in those sorts of situations.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, Jack.
Jack, just quickly, hey Jack, do you think that sort of transparency is something you're going to maintain going forward, or would you temper it somewhat? Was that just for the crisis, or do you think it's something that is useful?
Look, I think at the end of the day, I'm happy to provide that sort of transparency to staff, but it takes quite a lot of work. We send out a monthly newsletter that explains what our revenues were. And people can see new staff coming in. Like to go through that level of detail every month is probably not necessary, but we do keep staff abreast of the company's financial performance, because at the end of the day, we are all in it together. And I think it's important to communicate to staff what your operating expenses are, what your revenues are. You're making money, and as long as you pay your staff well, they're not going to come back to you and say, "Well, you're making money. Can you pay me more?" I will continue having that level of transparency because it allows you to feel more like a team. It's probably just going to be not so regular, I'd say, Luke.
I would echo Jack's sentiment that our business is nothing without its people. It's only the people that make our business, and we're very honest and transparent as well about the performance. So look, we're okay, and at this stage we'll be able to maintain our workforce. But if things continue in terms of lockdown and that sort of thing, we had no problem bringing work in residentially, but we just couldn't deliver it. So our working capital position's fine, but it's all soaked up in stock on the shelf, and it was hard work. But we're pretty open and honest about how we're going. And as a business owner, I'm sure everyone would agree, there is nothing that scares me more than having to get rid of people I really like because we just don't have the work flow or the cash flow to sustain their role. It makes me sick in the guts to think about getting rid of people I value because we just can't bring enough work to keep them going. So, we had a big pipeline of work, but nothing to deliver. And that was very scary. But I was really thrilled to get messages from my team saying, I love my job. I love this company. I believe so strongly in where we're going. if there's anything I can do in my own, I'm only 1/80th of the payroll here, but if there's anything I can do to help to try and keep us going through this period, I'll do whatever it takes. I think you really learn about your culture during a time like this when, most solar companies that have been successful have continually grown almost exponentially at times, and it's all been great, big parties and heading off to Intersolar and traveling around the world and that. But you learn more about your business and your culture when things really slow down and going through tough times. And I was extremely happy to see the way that the staff responded. They all felt part of this journey, and I think that has set us in really good stead going forward.
Excellent. How about you, Sam?
Gosh, for us, we enacted a buffalo strategy. So we spoke to a good friend of ours, his name's Jake Warner from Penrith Solar, and he talked us through some of the things that he was implementing. But essentially, we enacted this buffalo strategy, and this buffalo strategy was sort of like, okay, how do we make sure that the longevity of the business is sustainable throughout whatever changes this year is going to bring to us. So we wanted to look at how many sales are coming in, how many installations are going out, and how to maintain a healthy pipeline. And then also making sure that we were talking to great people like Luke to make sure that we had stock security, because, we just had no idea what was going to happen, price influxes or whatever. But we were extraordinarily transparent with our team as well. So, we did a presentation and showed them about this buffalo strategy. So for those who don't know how buffaloes act in a storm, buffaloes sort of all group together and they run towards the storm to get through the storm quicker, where cows, they run all in different directions, they get all confused and they're in the storm for a really long time. So that's why buffalo. And so
Cool.
we became the buffalo strategy, and then we just carefully looked at the numbers and looked at every single job, profit and loss for every job that we did, and we made sure that everything was at a good level, to make sure that we were running sustainably, but also our other value is to be caring. So we made sure that there were some families that just needed solar because their electricity bills were going up exponentially, and we just needed to help them reduce that. So we also made sure that we were able to help the community where we could as well, while maintaining staff levels. So yeah, it was a lot, but I think when you work together as a team and you are open with your team, it makes the whole thing a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's something, I guess, another moment that we should remember. We're extremely lucky to be in solar, as an industry.